not least at this grand board, Stuart Robson.
Can we do better than they did?
You've been waiting. I think we can.
You were involved in one of those.
I think we've got
with Shaka.
We've got the technology bit figured out.
I think
Well,
so,
I'll say
yeah.
that now. We shall see. Let's start with your group picks, Stuart.
Yep.
Who you got coming out of the 8 groups? Talk us through it. Any?
I've got Uruguay winning the group. Russia second, I think, because they're the home nation. I think they will just do enough. Spain, even though Lopetegui's gone and Hierro is the sort of interim coach, I think they'll still win it. Portugal just about coming second. France and Denmark, that was a hard one, Denmark or Peru, really. But I put Denmark in. Argentina to win the group. Croatia or Nigeria? Croatia just about.
That's the one that separates opinion. Group E, no. Well, you've got Serbia going through.
No, I've got Serbia. I think they're a good team, Serbia. They've got some excellent players. Milinkovic-Savic is a player that everybody should be looking out for. Germany and Mexico to get above Sweden. Yep. England and Belgium. I've actually put England as the winning group on winning team on that one because I think the dead rub of the last game and Belgium might not put out their full side. So I had England winning that group and Colombia winning the group. Senegal, I think, are the best of the African teams. They'll come in second.
Tough group, that isn't it? That Group H. Not much to choose between them. It leads us to these round of 16 encounters, Stuart. So this is where it starts to get interesting.
Well, the first game's not interesting. Spain will be too good for Russia. This is as far as Russia will go.
OK.
Spain...
Bye-bye to the hosts.
Yeah. And then you look at the next one. Lionel Messi at his very best. I think he's going to take the World Cup by storm. It's going to be too good for Denmark, so it's Argentina to play against Spain there. Then you look at the next one. Tough one.
You like Serbia?
I like Serbia, but
you like them enough?
Not enough to beat Germany. I think Germany will just about have enough to beat Serbia. And out of those two, I'm going to go for Belgium at the bottom. Under a lot of pressure because they've got some great players, but I think they'll have too much. I'm going to go with that again.
Yeah.
There we go. Belgium
they don't want to play Germany, but they will be playing Germany. Let's have a look at the other half of the round of 16. Uruguay, Portugal.
Now, my team, I think, might disappoint Portugal. European champions, I'm not particularly happy with them. Too defensive.
Not high on Portugal.
They've got Uruguay 3 outstanding players in Godin, Suarez and Cavani, so I think they'll go through.
France-Croatia, 98 semi-final.
France,
same result.
Through. Yeah, I think Paul Pogba's going to come to the fore in this tournament. We had a slight injury to Mbappe, but I think they're still a very good side.
Brazil-Mexico would be a tasty round of 16.
It would be a tasty game, but there's only one winner. Mexico, I think, disorganized 48.
That's been their ceiling, isn't it?
48 different formations in 48 games. Brazil, I think they're going to have a good World Cup.
48 formations.
So I've been told. And England versus Senegal. Now, I'm going to go on this occasion with Senegal because, as I said, they're the best African team in the tournament. I think they've got some outstanding players, and it might just be too much for England. So Senegal to play Brazil.
You and Shaka both.
Yes.
Both of you have Senegal knocking out England.
Yep, that's what I'm going for.
All right, so let's take it to the quarters. Spain and Argentina. That would be some way to
I'm still
off the quarterfinals.
I said at the beginning of the tournament, well, a couple of weeks ago, Spain would win it. Even though Lopetegui's gone, I still think they're going to get...
Under Fernando Hierro, they're going to go...
I think the players will start to come...
They could go further.
Could go further. Germany versus Belgium. Belgium might... I'm going to go for Belgium on this occasion.
Yeah, I like it.
I think Germany might just fall apart.
Yes. Well, it's happened to previous holders, hasn't it?
Yeah, Leroy Sané left out. Well, I think it's a bad decision by the manager. Semi-finals. I'm going to go for, in this one, France to beat Uruguay.
Yeah, this is still to
get into the semi-finals, the quarter-finals.
Yeah.
And then Brazil, as much as I like Senegal, Brazil to beat
Senegal
ceiling.
There. That would set up a France-Brazil semi. So let's have a look at these semis, shall we? Oh, yeah. I like the look of that. So we've got an all-European encounter, Spain, Belgium. You've got France and Brazil. Who's getting to the final?
Neymar coming to the fore. I think he's going to dominate the World Cup when he's on top form. And I'm still going to go. I'm going to stick with what I said. No matter the manager going, players will take them through to the final against Brazil.
So the Spanish manager of Belgium, Roberto Martinez, will come a cropper against Spain.
Yeah, but he's taken them to the semi-finals, in my view.
So a Brazil-Spain final on July the 15th in Moscow. Who's
in my predictor? I said that Spain would win it, but I've changed my mind over the last 2 days.
And the managerial change? Something to do with that?
Yeah, I think a little bit of that. There might be a bit of unrest between the players by the end of the tournament. Brazil, they are going to win the World Cup.
Remember where you heard it first. This man has a track record of predictions. He was the first one to say Arsene Wenger would go, but that was eight years ago. So maybe the 2026 World Cup is what you should be predicting here. Thanks very much, Stuart. You can catch our podcast. If you missed the video version of the show, the audio version available every day on iTunes. Well, mind-blowing developments. Julian Lopetegui, of course, had announced, or Real Madrid had announced his signature just 24 hours before. Gab Marcotti joining us from Moscow. Gab, I know you've been monitoring events very closely. Give us your insider's take. How did this all happen?
Well, and what I'm about to give you, of course, is the version of the Spanish Federation. But basically, Rubiales received a phone call from Lopetegui saying, "Oh, Mr. President, in about 5 minutes, Real Madrid are going to announce to the world that I am taking over at the Bernabeu next season. Don't worry, I'm going to stick around for the World Cup, and then we're going to part ways." Now, bear in mind that Rubiales certainly, I think, felt betrayed. He went to bat for Lopetegui, giving him a new long-term contract on May 22nd, and he did not take it well. He was here in Moscow. He was due to speak at the FIFA Congress, which was earlier today. Instead, he boarded a plane, flew to Krasnodar, where the Spain camp is, confronted Lopetegui, and within a few hours, just sacked him.
But Gab, was this the right move for Spain? I know you've written about it extensively on ESPNFC.com. I think you suggested it was. Why is this the right move? It seems quite shocking.
In my opinion, it really is the right move, and it's the right move because I think you have to be strong as a federation. You know, you represent the football of your country. And here is a guy, and I appreciate he might not get another chance to manage Real Madrid and whatever else, although, you know, if he believes himself and if he wins the World Cup with Spain or does something like that, the chance would have come. But here is a guy who does not have enough of a respect for his contract, does not have enough of a respect for his employer, does not have enough respect for the federation that he represents, that he doesn't bother to tell them that he's had an offer from Real Madrid, or that Real Madrid have even started talks with his representatives. No, he goes to him once the deal is done, once he's accepted the job, and says, like, hey, by the way, that contract, it's meaningless. I'm out of here when the World Cup is over. And I think this is the sort of bullying. I mean, to me, this is the main reason. This is the sort of bullying that I don't think you can put up with as an FA. Then there's other reasons. People bring up the fact that, you know, he's going to be looking after Barcelona players, but he knows he's going to go coach Real Madrid and whatever else. I think all that is secondary. There's a lot of unity in the Spanish team, but I really think a message had to be sent, and I, for one, am glad Rubiales stood up to him.
Rubiales, Craig, claiming he had no choice. He had an obligation to do this.
Well, I think he's put a firm marker down here about how he's going to run things. There's been a scant disregard for the federation here by Lopetegui. There's absolutely no doubt about that. You can't operate in that fashion. And I'm with Gab. I absolutely think,
really,
from a federation's perspective, it's right to show that there's a way of doing things. Now, from a football perspective, clearly it's made life more difficult. Lopetegui will have organised, or you know, where they're going to stay, organised where he wants them to train. Clearly, has selected the squad, has done all the technical stuff. So clearly, from a footballing perspective, it's made it more difficult. But from a federation's perspective, I think the head of the Spanish Federation here is absolutely correct. That is not how we do things. And when you treat a federation like that, this is what the end result is.
And they've treated him very well. He was the under-19 manager, he was the under-21 manager. They put him on the map. He got the Porto job off the back of working for the Spanish FA. And he's done everything wrong. I mean, he cannot try and negotiate this contract and sign this contract, you know, while he's still the manager of Spain 2 days before that. It will have an impact on the team, no question about that, because Hierro's got to now take over and he's got to try and get those players all united. He's got to make sure he carries on doing the things that Lopetegui is doing. He can't change the system completely and change the tactics. So I don't think it's a good thing for the team, but it's a good thing for the Spanish FA.
What's more important? Is it more important that the federation looks strong and they're standing up to a guy who clearly has done the wrong thing? Or is it more important that they give the Spanish team every chance of winning the World Cup? Because getting rid of Lopetegui means that absolutely they will not win the World Cup.
They're in the worst place
Do you
right
think
now.
the players were consulted on this?
No.
Do you think the chairman went to the players
I
and
don't
said,
see how... Who cares what the... Listen, end of the day, 99 of those players will understand if Lopetegui take the Real Madrid job and stayed for the World Cup. Because every one of them would have done the same thing. Had they been with another team and Real Madrid come in, they understand that. So I don't think the players should have been consulted, and I don't think they were.
Yeah, but at the time Lopetegui signed his Spanish Federation extension, the Real Madrid job wasn't open. So is that a mitigating factor at all?
Is that an excuse for you to not just rip up your contract, but only give them 5 minutes advance notice? No, it's absolutely not. You know, he could have still negotiated with Real Madrid, but the minute the call came in that it was a possibility, he should have told the Federation. And further to Stevie's point, remember, Hierro has been there all along. He's been part of the setup. In terms of experience and charisma, he's certainly not second to Lopetegui. But I think one of the key things to remember is the binary situation here isn't Spain with a happy Lopetegui and their chances, and Spain without Lopetegui. The binary situation is Spain without Lopetegui, or Spain with Lopetegui, with the Catalan press knowing that he's going to go manage Real Madrid, with every single road bump along the way becoming a question of, oh, well, was he busy talking to Florentino about Gareth Bale's future and whatever else? Is that why he didn't do this and that? How distracted is he by this? And I think what you can't have in this World Cup is a situation like that. I think that would have been far more damaging.
This is great. I mean, seriously,
We're not talking about Russia, Saudi Arabia.
This is great. I hope this is the way the World Cup is going to go for the next 4 weeks at least, because stories, breaking news, dramas like this. We don't want a boring World Cup. We want to see some great games, but we want to see some headlines and some stories as well. This one has just come out 24 hours ago, as you mentioned. The fact that he was taking the Real Madrid job at the end of the World Cup was a story, because we were talking, how's that going to affect the team? But now this is just blown it absolutely out.
We were talking 24 hours ago about how the team that's going to win it is going to have great unity. There's going to be no problems within the camp. We talked about France a couple of World Cups ago when they had the problem with Evra and the manager. Spain were going to be one of the favourites here, and I think I think they've done the right thing.
And they're still clearly going to be
a good team, but I don't think they're going to be the favourites.
These are the odds right now as we stand on the eve of the opening game. Spain, third favourites, equal with France, but just behind Germany and Brazil. Stuart, I know you pre-tournament fancied Spain to win it. Does this alter your projection?
It certainly does, because I think one or two of the players will start to say they've got we should be playing this way, or we should be playing that way. Can you imagine Ramos? You know, we know he's a big leader. Him starting to dictate, well, we should be doing this and we should be doing that. When you have a manager, and Lopetegui was the manager, he was dictating what was going on. Hierro, I think, is obviously got charisma, but he hasn't been in charge of the team. He's been the assistant manager. He's now got to take control of that team. And if he doesn't take control of the team, Spain are going to struggle.
A couple of things. You know, Gab's talking about, well, if Spain didn't play well, then they're going to jump on Lopetegui. If Spain don't play well, they're going to jump on Lopetegui anyway. So what does it matter? And the fact that he's saying Hierro's been around for the team and all this makes absolutely no difference at all. Listen, 80% of Spain doing well is down to the players. The other 20% is the coach. Why do you think coaches stand at the side of the field? All they're doing is reiterating all the stuff that they've been speaking about over the qualifying campaign, over the build-up. So when you stick a completely different person...
And he's made them a better side. He's transformed them over the last couple of years, Lopetegui. Before that, they were struggling. They were playing football without penetration. Now he's got the balance right, and that's why I had them as the favourites, because Lopetegui had done a good job.
If Spain got off to a good start, listen, this team could almost self-police itself to a certain extent. He is going to. I presume he's going to be selecting the team, unless there's a couple of other behind the scenes that are all chipping in. But if it runs smoothly for him, it could be relatively simple. If it starts going a bit wrong, he's got some big decisions to make. That's when we're going to find out. If you look at Germany in 2014, they hit some rough seas. But Jogi Löw, with the continuity they've got, he made some changes. And that got them through to the World Cup final and eventually to win it. That's going to be the big test for Herrera.
Let's stay with soccer, Tony.
Boom!
Specifically, let's deal with the stunning news that Spain, the number 3 betting favorite among World Cup teams, fired its coach today. Julen Lopetegui, whose team compiled a record of 14-0-6 since he took over, is out, even though Spain takes the field against rival Portugal in less than 48 hours. The reason he was fired, It was announced he is going to be the coach of Real Madrid after World Cup ends. Seems okay, but turns out Spain's Soccer Federation was angered by not knowing in advance. Tony, this seems insane. What happens to Spain starting Friday?
Okay, so 99 times out of 100, I would tell you, you're right, this is insane. I have the one but. And the one but, let's go back to 1989, your conference. Michigan, the coach Bill Frieder decided that after the NCAA tournament, Arizona State.
Yeah,
Arizona State. So the AD at the time was?
Bo Schembechler.
Who said, I don't want an Arizona State man. I want a Michigan man coaching me. So they handed to
Wait,
an
he
assistant.
can't say, I don't want a Real Madrid man. I want a Spain man.
So they handed to Fisher, right? Steve Fisher, who goes 6-0 in the tournament and wins the title. That's the one but ever.
Okay, you want to go with the but? Or
No.
you're going to,
No, it's crazy.
You're going
It's
against
crazy.
Portugal.
Why would you do this?
You're going against someone you have history with. It just seems these federations are so egomaniacal that these people would come out and say, we didn't know about this early enough. You have to satisfy our employment criteria.
You can understand their anger, but this is
you don't
counterproductive.
fire the national coach.
This is with a record of 14-0-6. This is counterproductive. This puts them in a spin cycle that's terrible. I don't get this.
You know what's amazing? We talk about the drama that goes along in American sports with the firing of coaches and managers.
This is a much bigger deal.
Tony,
this World Cup.
It seems all of these international football situations, when they get involved with dismissing coaches and what they're going to do next, the drama is fivefold anything we have in America.
Maybe I'm wrong. World Cup has to be more important than the Pro League. World Cup has to be the most important thing. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, World Cup Eve, here we are.
Who's she?
On the verge.
Just wait till it
on the
gets
verge.
48 teams.
Oh my goodness.
48. We talked about the show. 48 teams in 2026.
With some cracking games.
How long that predictor will take
Is that
to do?
one of the questions?
No, it isn't. Do I take it?
You have questions.
Do you take it? You want to get to the
Nudge,
questions?
wink, wink, say no more.
That piece of paper's just underneath the other one.
So fed up of hearing about ZipRecruiter. Let's get to does the sacking of Julian Lopetegui, will it be taken as an excuse if Spain underperform in this World Cup, especially when Mr. Gabb and Mr. Robson have made them favourites to win? So Gabb, or rather Stu.
Whether
I
he
just call you Gabb.
No. Well, even if they kept
Easily
Lopetegui,
mixed up, you two.
If they kept Lopetegui and they lost games, they'd blame that. Now they've got rid of him, they'll blame that. The players have got an excuse now not to perform. Spain, I don't think now will win the World Cup. I think they've got one or two problems with these side. And Hierro, will he do the job? He's never been the man to make the decisions. We heard Gabb talk about, well, he's been a director, he's been in important positions at Real Madrid and within the Spanish FA. He has not been on the side of the pitch for Real Madrid or Spain and had to make big decisions. So that is a massive call for them to sack.
So you're
Lopetegui
saying
and
now
put him in charge.
Spain are not going to win the World Cup?
No.
Right. You did your predictor earlier with Adrian before we started the show.
Yeah.
Did you have Spain to win the World Cup?
No.
Oh, damn. I was hoping you had changed
You
that.
had Spain making the final, didn't you?
I got into the final, but
losing to Brazil.
Losing to Brazil rather than beating Brazil. Yeah.
But an excuse. They always say don't give players an excuse. Does this give Spanish players an excuse?
How many
win?
questions is this?
Well,
Is it just a one question or are we,
no, we got a
multiple?
couple. We got a couple more. I can go back to ZipRecruiter.
You're not getting this extra time, are you?
Oh,
You're not. Stevie, explain how this.
no, he's not. Right.
We just move swiftly on.
Get on with it.
Move swiftly on. All right. What's your thoughts on the knighthood of King Kenny?
That's about time, huh?
Us Rich Mount.
Absolutely.
Seriously, how stupid is that? How can you knight a king?
We get a rook, get a couple of rooks. Try to.
How can you knight a king?
Oh,
How can
absolutely.
you knight a guy who's already a king?
So when's your
King
MBE
Kenny.
coming? When's your MBE coming or something like OBE you could get, couldn't you? Services to football in England?
Already got one.
That's what I said. When's the next one?
Already got one.
Yeah, so MBE, OBE next one.
What have you got?
Outside broadcasting.
How many of your teammates have got MBEs or OBEs?
Two.
Oh, only two.
John
King
Barnes.
Kenny, who's now a sir.
Rightly so, yeah.
Yes. And Mr. Alan Hansen, who I believe is in OBE.
What about John Barnes? Did he not get anything?
Rushy didn't get anything?
Steve's getting one. If he does get one in the next couple of years, it'll be for services to beer and food. Guaranteed.
Well, talking of things,
An SBF.
Services to the food and...
I deserve an SBF.
moving on swiftly, note this. Talking of things you've given great service to over the years, which of you are the better golfer? And be honest, says Sam Nicol.
Oh, he is. Well,
Yeah?
ah.
By how much?
Long off the tee,
Yeah.
No, we're
accurate
about
to the
3 or
green.
4 shots between us.
3
Normally.
or 4?
Yeah.
Normal?
I've coached
I'm
him.
not a good golfer.
I've coached him down a little bit because he had the most god awful set up when we first started.
You told me
not
he, had
bad
the,
golf.
he used to twitch when he was putting. He had the old jips.
No, he didn't twitch. He's had everything. He's had everything.
Called a yip.
But this is a guy. This is a
one of
guy
the
who
names,
used to hit. This is a guy who used to hit a big banana off the tee, right?
Aye.
He can do all sorts now. He can shape it right, shape it right to left. Oh, everything.
You know,
Seriously.
do you know how much it is for a coach?
Coach.
Yeah.
A golf
A
coach?
golf coach. Uh-huh.
Nothing. Free advice.
Couldn't get out of bunkers. Can get out of bunkers now.
I don't think you got out the bunker the other day.
Seriously, he
dropped into the bunker
He can
and then
hit a
couldn't get
draw.
out.
He can hit a draw off the
Today
tee.
I didn't.
He couldn't hit nothing. He used to aim 30 yards left off every tee.
Yeah.
Now he down the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Cotton,
It's going to be your new job. Coach.
So you're...
I might need it.
A little spell where I got down to 9.
Why
and then
don't
I
you
didn't.
play?
I
That's
didn't-
pretty
then
good.
Then I haven't played for 3 years. So
That's pretty good.
It's just lazy. I know exactly. And you're probably what? But 12?
12, 13,
10, 11,
something like that.
12.
Yeah, 13, 14. 18 on a bad day, but...
we all have
I like it,
handicaps
I like
you
it to
got?
be variable.
I thought you were only allowed one handicap. I just reeled off about 4 there.
Right.
Right.
Like the questions.
Yeah, exactly. I think we actually had a question, so I can go,
Oh, yeah.
I can go through the ZipRecruiter stuff again if you
Would
want.
have left you alone. Keep it
Like
going.
that. It's the smartest way to
World
buy it.
Cup tomorrow. Big one.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Looking
Russia,
forward to it.
Russia,
Magic.
cruising.
We will be casting our beady eyes over that opener with you on the next edition of FC, and then we'll have 3 Friday games. VAR video review. What sort of part will that play in the story? Pierluigi Collina, the chairman of the FIFA Referees Committee, saying this earlier. We were told to keep they were told to keep the flag down when there is a tight offside incident. Talking about the linesmen, the assistant referees. There could be a very promising attack or a goal-scoring opportunity. They've got to keep them down because if the assistant referee raises the flag, then everything is finished.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, it's going to be difficult, I think, for the assistant referees because their natural reaction normally would be to get the flag straight up if they think. So that's going to be difficult. The best one I've heard though with these referees is the VAR officials who are going to be operating it. So they're going to be miles from where the game is. All have to go in the referee's kit, which I just think is bonkers. I mean, like
John Cherry at
it's
the Champions League.
You're going to have 4 of these guys sitting in the kit. 1,000 miles from where the game is, in some room. I mean, how stupid?
Are they going to wear their boots as well?
That's what Robert said. They've got to
Have a little flag with
How
them
stupid
too.
is that?
How stupid is this statement?
That they've got to keep the flag.
If you're a linesman, right, you look at whether it's offside or it's not offside. You don't sit and go, well, that's close, it might be, it might not be, I'll just let it go. If you see it offside, you put your flag up, and if you're not sure, you don't put your flag up anyway. They were doing that 20 years ago, by the way.
But isn't this all to do with the fact the goal has to be scored?
Yeah, but they can always go
To
back.
happen.
Yeah, they can always go back to it because if he doesn't put his flag, or even if he puts his flag and the referee allows it to go and the player runs 1v1 against the goal and scores, and then it's proved offside, they just cancel it out. But what you don't want to do is cancel all the goals. They're trying to make it work both ways. You can cancel goals because it's offside, but you can also allow goals to be scored when it's not offside.
So you're trying to give a little extra advantage to the attacking player.
And I've seen it happen it happened 2 or 3 times in the FA Cup.
Hold on a second. Am I missing something here?
Probably.
Seriously. If you're the linesman and you're looking across the line and you see he's offside, you put your flag
We're
up.
talking
No,
about
but
the
if
ones
they
that are
score-
millimetres or just
Stevie,
offside.
If you're a linesman and it's a millimetre,
You give the forwards
can't
the benefit
tell,
of the doubt
so
in
you
this
wouldn't
case.
put your flag up anyway.
You give the forwards the
Whether it's
benefit of the
5
doubt.
years ago,
you
10
give the
years
forwards
ago.
the benefit of the doubt, and then if he scores, you can then go back and say
That's
it's
not my
offside.
point. My point is, what's the difference?
If he puts his flag up, and the referee blows
if
it,
a
and he's
linesman sees it's
onside,
offside,
then he
puts
can't
his
score a
flag
goal.
up. If a linesman
If he
is
gets
not
it
sure,
wrong, if he gets
the
it
linesman's
wrong,
not sure,
cancelling out a goal.
if the linesman's not sure,
Yeah.
whether it was yesterday, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, if the linesman's
his
not
flag
sure,
down.
he keeps his flag down. So what's changed because of that?
I've never known
Nothing
somebody.
should have changed.
I've never known somebody get
It's
so upset about a
stupid.
flag going up.
It's
I'm
complete,
not.
It's complete typical nonsense. You know, people outside the game, just sticking their nose
Well,
in,
I tell you
saying
what-
something just for the sake of
I wouldn't say Kalina's outside the game, is he?
Well, I mean, anybody that's got them
Kalina's
pressing up...
been
in
one of the
top
best
is-
referees in the world.
He's talking nonsense.
I think one of the things they're trying to stop is the flag going up and the defender switching off and stopping.
Right.
They're going to try and let that go, and if it's a goal scored, they then come back and then they'll re-referee it that way.
The only
So
thing
there's
guaranteed, by the way,
angry
some
man.
numpty is
Angry-
going to be 2 yards offside, and the linesman's going to keep his flag down.
Yeah.
You
So-
can put your bottom dollar
You're going to get
on.
angry about that?
Aye.
This is going to be new for a lot. I mean, we've seen it in the
By the
Bundesliga.
way, this VAR's going to be great.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask Stuart.
In a bad way.
Do you think it's going to be a positive overall? You've seen it in the
seen it.
Bundesliga.
Nearly every
you've seen
game I
it in
commentate on
MLS.
has VAR. And it all depends on the decisions that the VAR makes and the referee makes in the end. If they're not good referees, they're not going to be any better with VAR. In the main, you're going to get most decisions right. I would say 90%.
Well, you'd
of
like to
decisions
think
right.
so.
You'd like to think so. They should do, because they're getting another look at it. But there will still be decisions, and as commentators, we look at a decision and say, I think that's a penalty, and somebody else will say it's not. And there's still that sort of
The other thing is-
understanding where you're not going to get everything exactly the same.
The other thing is the fans are going to be able to see it at the World Cup on the big screen, but they're not going to see it at the real time that the referees are making a decision. They're going to see it on the screen once the game restarts again.
And that communication of the referee's
So
decision.
you're going to be
has
watching
been-
a big screen with decision and the game's going on. It's all a bit weird.
The World Cup is upon us. That means our Predictor game just got taken to another level. Stuart Robson is here with me as we tackle some very juicy fixtures.
Tackle it.
The opening fixtures of the tournament. Let's start off with Russia, Saudi Arabia.
I don't think Russia are a particularly good team. They're the lowest ranked team in the World Cup.
Disclaimer.
But they are at home, and most teams, when they play at home, get through the group stages. And I think they have just enough to beat Saudi Arabia. So for me, that's going to be Russia.
Opening match of the World Cup at home. A ton of eyes will be on them. I think the stage is set for Russia to definitely get a win. Here's where things get juicy now.
Yes.
Egypt, Uruguay.
Egypt have got some good players. They've got a good defence. They've got Hector Cooper, who's the manager, who's very experienced. They were runners-up in the African Cup of Nations. But I still think Uruguay, with Godin at the back and Suarez and Cavani, I'm going to go with Uruguay to win this game.
Uruguay, the obvious pick for this one. But you see, I like Egypt, and it's not just because of Mo Salah. I think they're a stubborn team. Will they be stubborn enough to stop Uruguay? I don't think all the way, so I'm going to sit on the fence and go for a draw in this one.
It's unlike you to sit on the fence.
Hey there. All right, Morocco against Iran.
Two excellent managers, Carlos Queiroz, manager of Iran, Hervé Renard, manager of Morocco, has had great success in African Cup of Nations tournaments. Both have got good sides, but I think this one will be a draw. And I don't think it'll do much for either side, so I'm just going to leave it, and it's going to be a draw of that game.
Well, Morocco definitely know how to lock up shop, and they are very stubborn. I was just talking about Egypt being stubborn, but I think I like Morocco in this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with them. Finally, a very, very, very juicy one. A lot of eyes on Spain after all the drama that's been going on with them sacking Lopetegui. Portugal, always still there in the mix. Who are you going for?
I went for Spain to win the tournament before
But-
Lopetegui got the sack or decided to go to Real Madrid. And I'm still going to go with them in this game. I'm not sure about Portugal. They won the European Championship playing very defensive football, relying on Ronaldo in the air with crosses coming into the box. So I still think Spain have the players. Vieira's got to do a very good job, but they will win this game. Not comfortably, but they'll win it.
You know what, Stu? It's been a while since I've agreed with you. Well, since the Russia fixture.
only
And
two
you know what?
games.
I'm going to go with Spain with you on this one. At least for this fixture, we'll see exactly how that sacking of Lopetegui does affect them for the rest of the tournament. Well, there you have it. Those are our picks for some of the opening fixtures of the FIFA World Cup. We'll definitely be here throughout the entire tournament, so make sure to keep it here at ESPN. Stuart Robson joined me. There's a lot of hype around the World Cup, but right now we're focusing on Rumareta because, of course, the rumors are flying as we are in summer. So let's start with this one. Interesting one that would possibly break my heart, Stu. Paul Pogba to leave Manchester United.
I think Paul Pogba is an exceptional player. I've seen him a lot when he was playing for Juventus. I've seen him a lot for the French national team. I've seen him a lot for Manchester United. And I still think he can be a world-class player. And I think Manchester United is still the right club for him. Mourinho's got to get the best out of him. So I'm going to say that's a miss. Pogba should stay at Manchester United.
All righty, we'll move that one over here. Kovacic now at Real Madrid. Would Juventus be a nice home for him?
I'm not sure about Kovacic. I've seen him a lot when he was playing in Croatia. When he was Inter Milan. I don't think he's good. I'm not quite sure where he plays. I'm not sure whether he's an attacking midfield player. I'm not sure whether he's a holding midfield player. I'm not convinced about him. So I would say that is a miss as well.
Oh, that's a misses for you so far. Koulibaly to Manchester United. Would he fit well at Old Trafford under Jose Mourinho?
Bailly hasn't done it at Manchester United. He seems to have fallen out of favour with Mourinho. Koulibaly has been brilliant for Napoli over the last 2 years. So I think he would certainly suit their style of play. I think he's the right sort of defender for them. Jones and Smalling haven't been quite good enough, but Bailly has been out of favour, so this is a hit for me.
All right, we've got to hit Rafinha now to Spurs.
I'm not quite sure where he'd play, to be honest, at Spurs. Spurs have got a very settled back line. We know that Toby Alderweireld is going, but he's not a right back. They've got Trippier who plays out there. They've got the player they bought from PSG as well. So I'm going to go a miss with Rafinha.
And finally, Jurgen Klopp, of course, on the hunt for some new players to boost his Liverpool team that has been quite impressive over the last season. Shaqiri to Liverpool, would that be one of those players?
I can't see him getting into the team. I can see him being a squad player who can come on, but he didn't do particularly well at Bayern Munich when he was a squad player. But is he better than Lallana? On his day, he gives you something different to Lallana. Is he going to play in that hole in behind a main striker? I think he could. If Salah was injured, if Mane was injured, he could go into a wide area and do a good job. So I'd say that's a hit as a squad player, Shaqiri to Liverpool.
All right, thanks so much to Stuart Robson for these hits and misses. Continue tracking all of the rumors as they float around and as we try to crack them here at ESPN FC. It's always a good day when we can talk about Arsenal with a former Arsenal player, Stuart Robson, joining me in this one at interesting times at Arsenal, especially everyone waiting to say who Unai Emery will be signing first. Lucas Torreira at Sampdoria, where he's one of the top targets. Well, Stuart, what do we know about him and how do you see him fitting in at Arsenal if they do land this deal?
He's only 22. He's had a couple of seasons in Sampdoria's first team. He went on loan to Pescara. He's played 3 times for Uruguay. He's in the Uruguay squad for the World Cup. He's a holding midfield player, he's a dynamic player, he's an aggressive tackler. He's not a particularly big player, but he certainly does most of the right things as you want from a holding midfield player. He's got energy, he's got dynamism, he'll get in behind the fullbacks to cover those positions. So it's a decent signing, but what does it say about El Neni, Xhaka, and maybe even Ramsey?
Decent signing, so he's not really getting you that excited, which is what Arsenal fans need now, though.
No, I don't think you'd be excited by Lichtsteiner, who's past his best. Is he a replacement for Bellerin, or is he a player that's just going to come in when Bellerin is unfit? But I think the new director of football, the head of recruitment, Mittelstadt, that's what he's good at doing. He's good at finding players that aren't top of everybody's wish list and finding out their strengths, knowing they're the right sort of players for the club and bringing them in. And then it's up to Unai Emery to get the best out of them. That's how he worked at Borussia Dortmund. And that's how he's obviously going to work at Arsenal, because it doesn't look as though Arsenal are going to have a big budget this season.
No, that's what we're hearing. So do you think that's a big disadvantage then? Because people at Arsenal want those big name signings after everything that they've gone through the last couple of years with Arsene Wenger.
They've had some big signings in the past. They've had Ozil, they've had Sanchez. You know, they've spent a lot of money on Mustafi. They've spent a lot of money on the players. And
well, where's it got them, Stu?
It hasn't been good enough. So I think there's going to be a change of strategy. I think they're not going to spend big money on big players. They're going to find the right players that they think will fit what the manager wants. And that's what Unai Emery is much better than Arsene Wenger at doing, is coaching the players, giving them a game plan, making sure they've got a strategy when they go out on the pitch, making sure every player knows what his job is when they go out onto that pitch.
So turning people into stars.
That's what he's hoping to do.
That's what Arsenal are hoping to do indeed.
The weather here in Kazan has been grey and rainy, which is perhaps more reminiscent of a Dutch winter than a Russian summer, but it should make Bert van Marwijk and his support staff feel right at home, not to mention the Dutch media contingent who are here in the city. Martin Klabbendam is from Football International. And Martin, can you tell us if perhaps, given that the Netherlands didn't qualify, are the Dutch throwing their support behind Bert and the Socceroos?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, he's one of our best coaches, and he's doing the Australian job. And everybody in Holland has a little bit of feeling with Australia, because a lot of our nephews or uncles they went to Australia to immigrate. So I think Australia has a good name in Holland, and everybody supported, especially now with Bert and Mark van Bommel in the training staff.
Indeed. Well, you know their credentials very well. What makes them the right people for this very specific job?
It is a specific job. It's a job in a short period, and I think that makes him fit for this job, because he is capable to in short time put a team together, put a tactic there which fits the team, and make them successful. So I think Australia picked the right coach to do this.
Well, Andrew Naboot is certainly very happy that Van Marwijk is here, and he's grateful for the opportunity that he's been given.
Very important. Yeah. I mean, he gave me my opportunity in the national team, and so far I've started all 4 games under him. So, you know, that speaks for itself. He's very important. He's given me a massive confidence boost coming into this, and you know, like I said, he gave me the chance. So I'm going to repay that faith.
Well, Andrew Naboot also mentioned that he feels that his style matches the style of Bert Van Marwijk and the way he wants him to play. How do you think Van Marwijk will approach the game against France? Will it be safety first, or do we go for goals?
I think safety first. That's normal against a team like France with so much quality, especially in front. But I spoke with Van Marwijk several times before getting into training camp in Turkey, and he told me right then that Atletico Madrid is his favorite team in the way they're playing. They don't have the best players, of course, but they always have a good team who make this very difficult for the top teams in Spain, like Barcelona, Real Madrid. Either the teams in Europe, the big teams, they were in the Champions League final maybe 2 times. So that says a lot. You don't have to have the best players, but you can make the best team out of it, and that's exactly what Van Marwijk is trying to do here with Australia.
Well, the first test for the latest Dutch master will come on Saturday afternoon. But one thing is absolutely certain. The love for all things Dutch runs very deep in this team.
My very close connection to the Dutch side of my family through my grandfather. And I think he was pleased to see, you know, a Dutch coach come in, and, you know, in particular someone like Mark, you know, who was such a legend as a player as well. And, you know, he's always had that half debate of who to support, Holland or Australia, but fortunately that's an easy enough decision for him this time. So it's great to have, you know, that side of your family, and he was the one that influenced me and got me, really pushed me to get into football from a young age. So yeah, it's exciting. It's actually his birthday today as well. So happy 80th, Helper, if you're watching.
You don't get forever in a position like this, and that when the heat comes on, it comes on pretty thick and pretty fast. And I think he's aware of that. He's aware of that when his time is done as the England boss, it will all unravel pretty quickly in front of you, which it tends to do. And so he said, because of that, I'm going to do it the way that I think it's got to be done, with some younger players, with a generation of players that can hopefully improve and can excite England fans again. And I'll tell you what, I did say to him again, not that long ago, having watched him, I can't remember what game it was, where I thought they played really well in one of the games. And I said, you know what? I said, listen, you've got some young boys in that team, and you might not know what you're going to get out of them every time. But I tell you what, Gareth, I said, you got an exciting group of players there, and you just might turn up in Russia and surprise 1 or 2. I don't think you'll surprise people around the world, you know, because I think they'll realise how talented some of these England boys are. But I think you might surprise 1 or 2 back here.
I admire their decision. It's bold, it's ruthless. I'm pretty sure that they must have spoken to a number of players in the squad, and they've come to that decision. I'm very surprised though, with the timing of it, with 2 days before their opening game against Portugal. I think as a player, I wouldn't have liked it. You've worked for so long now with a system, with a manager, who you've looked to give you answers, give you solutions, and you're all ready, you're all prepared, and all of a sudden, he's gone. But they still have an excellent squad. They have an experienced squad with some top players in it. Will it affect them? We'll have to wait and see, but it's pretty ruthless.
TJ Quinn, who made trips to Russia to do that reporting. Where do we start? The risks of crossing Putin. Now, people in sport dropped dead over their 2 officials with the doping, just unexpectedly several years ago dead. Even in sport, if you cross him, what could happen?
Well, he doesn't differentiate between sport and other areas. If it affects business, if it affects his bottom line or his power, then you run the risk. We also, in that story, talked to a young man named Leonid Martinyuk, who was a partner of Boris Nemtsov. Nemtsov, people may remember, was the chief political rival to Putin and former deputy prime minister under Yeltsin. Nemtsov was this towering figure, and the 2 of them looked into corruption during the creation of the Sochi Games. Now, Nemtsov famously assassinated February 2015. You can't really connect the report on Sochi to that.
And they made arrests in that case, and they were bad guys rounded up.
Exactly, but
the usual suspects.
They round up the usual suspects, exactly. And but Leonid, who's this minor figure who is no threat to anybody, because he was involved in that research, he ended up 10 days in jail on a ridiculous charge. He looks like Haley Joel Osment. They charge him with hooliganism. But the message is clear. If you poke the bear, you're going to get a response.
From his early time in office on the national and international stage, Putin is a guy who has used, sometimes almost comically to the Western eye, sports to project who he is and what he's about.
He has. It's been essential to who he was from the day he took over as acting president, took over from Yeltsin. He wanted to show how young and vital he was. We spoke to so many people, even in Russia, who said this is crucial to Russian leadership, this image of masculinity, of power. It's invested in the person more than the office. Again, he's not a throwback to the Soviet era where you were a representative of the party. He is more a modern czar.
Those comical scenes of him playing hockey, no one checking.
No one breathing. Yeah, they didn't even want to fog up his mask.
Only 5 goals today for dear leader. All right. Here are the IOC and FIFA, these international groups that each have had their own problems with just trying to come out with a singular message. Getting them together on something is almost like trying to herd cats. Yet, he's gotten major votes, Putin, out of them in this decade.
He has gotten not only major votes, but an utter lack of any effort from them to hold him accountable. And where there were efforts to hold him accountable, specifically with FIFA, you had 2 major issues when Gianni Infantino came in, right? This is who the U.S. is getting into bed with now with this bid. There was the beginning of an investigation into suspicions, only suspicions, that Russian money was behind Infantino's campaign. He was on flights that were owned by Russian oligarchs. Of course, those flights are actually leased through the Kremlin. But before they could even get started, the 2 investigators were fired when the Ethics Committee refused to grant a waiver for the Deputy Prime Minister, Vitaly Mutko, to be on the FIFA Executive Council. Infantino himself stepped in and said, we need this. So we're a long way from them acting the way these institutions are supposed to. They're acting on behalf of Russia.
And Infantino, of course, with the wide open, transparent process, end quote, that produced the USA with Mexico and Canada today, getting 2026. Great work, Teach.
Don't forget to click subscribe.